lot of people will say, well, it seems to me like universalism has to be true.
Right.
But then we're prohibited, right?
But then you read scripture.
You read scripture.
And it's like a
this.
splash of cold water in the
Right.
face. Isn't it? Like kind of, whoa, wow.
Like, wow. Yeah. And if the one who has power over nature, the one who created everything is saying this, then we don't have a choice, right? But it's growing. And so you got guys like David Bentley Hart who,
See, this eases the tension. Remember we talked about that? Like, we don't like tension. I hate tension. I want it resolved.
Right.
Right? And you just mentioned a moment ago that atheism could be the way to resolve that, except it doesn't.
Right.
I think this is another way of prematurely trying to do away with the tension.
Yes.
Well, we can all be saved.
That's right.
And I can come up with a great syllogism for how that seems to be the case.
Right. And it hits home. It hits home for a lot of people. And, but just like the analogy with the ditch, I think we can get into that ditch again because, somebody had been asking me, because we had David Bentley Hart on Reason and Theology, I don't know, say 2.5 years ago. And it was funny because he had a lot of demands before he got on. He was like, okay, I want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. We were not supposed to argue with him.
Okay.
He just wanted to be able to answer interview questions, and that's it. Well, we had Father Patrick. I remember Father John Ramsey. Patrick is his name that he got when he became Orthodox and was made a higher monk. But he was joining us, and he argued.
Oh, yeah.
He argued with.
As he was doing that, were you like?
Well, I thought to myself, well, he's an ordained Orthodox priest. I'm not going to tell him to stop. So he just went and David Bentley Hart just kind of like chuckled it off and everything. But a lot of people after that show were like, Erick, like you didn't say anything. You just let him speak. So you don't have an answer for universalism, do you? Like, well, it was not a planned debate. It was just an interview. And one of the stipulations that I wanted to respect was that it's not going to be a debate. But, and I've left universalism out of my, stack of papers for years now. But about 3 months ago, I decided to write a small article. It was a very small one on my initial feelings as to why universalism is wrong. Obviously, you could go to scripture, like you said, read the Bible. But today, all the universalists are camped out in scripture. They're redefining terms. They're coming up with all kinds of things to show, well, no, the Bible is universalist, you see. So it's like you can't go there as your handy side-on pistol anymore. And I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe there's like another way to question this doctrine. And I thought to myself, well, we know that the majority of Christianity, I'm talking about the majority. Oh, Erick, you don't know about St. Isaac the Syrian and this and that. Okay, yeah, I know that there's some voices. Oh, but you don't know Augustine. Augustine said it was widely believed. Okay, that was in a very specific time period. He wasn't saying that this was the universal belief at one time. The majority of Christians for the last 2,000 years have believed that hell exists and that it lasts forever. If that's the case, and if Christianity, the Christian church, is the mind of Christ, right? Because Paul tells the Corinthians, you have the mind of Christ, right? So Christianity is the mind of Christ. And if the mind of Christ has held this doctrine for so long, just to be now shown to be absolutely ridiculous, because when universalists argue against, they're like, dude, this is as obvious as denying infant damnation or whatever. They make it seem as if the only person who could come to this belief in eternal perdition is somebody who is psychologically defected or absolutely stupid. Okay, but if that's the case, and that seems to be how universalists typically argue their case, that they try to present the doctrine in such a way that you got to be crazy to believe it.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then the mind of Christ, the church, Catholicism, Orthodoxy, Oriental Orthodoxy, evangelicalism, has been crazy, right? And if they've been crazy about that, they might have been crazy about other things. And that's why I think universalism is a door that leads out of basically to the edge of Christianity, where you make your own Christianity. And if you stay there long enough, I don't know how you do it. David Bentley Hart has stayed there long enough. But if you listen to him talk about Hinduism or any of the other religions, he talks about them just like they're just equally religious people like me on the way to God. So his Christianity is a Christianity that's not Christianity. It's a Christianity that's basically taken on the belief systems of everyone, where it's compatible with a variety of different views. He's not a relativist. I'm not saying he's a relativist or anything, but I would say that he has a form of religious pluralism, and I think universalism takes you in that direction. Basically, I don't think universalism is true, because if it was true, then it would prove that Christianity has been just psychologically absurd, intellectually absurd for all these centuries.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then how could I trust it? You know?
Yeah.
If it's so wrong about something that's so obvious, then no, thank you. I'll check something else out, you know?
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.